Today, we're diving into this really powerful idea called emergence. And what it's all about is that personal journey of growth. The whole process of shifting from the person you were kind of conditioned to be into the person you truly have the potential to become. So let's get into it.
It all kicks off with a feeling that I think pretty much everyone gets. It's that internal tug-of-war, right? The battle between staying put, where everything is safe, predictable, comfortable, and that little voice in the back of your head that says, hey, there's something more out there, a bigger version of you just waiting for you to take a chance.
And what's so cool is how the philosopher Soren Kierkegaard talked about this. He basically said we're always facing one of two kinds of anxiety. First, there's the anxiety of comfort. That's that kind of low-grade, nagging feeling you get when you're just coasting, knowing deep down that you're not really growing. And then there's the anxiety of growth. That's the scary but also thrilling feeling of stepping into something new. And emergence? Well, it's all about choosing that second one.
Okay, so if we have this natural drive to grow, what's the deal? What holds us back? Well, the answer lies in what the source material for this explainer calls our personal matrix. It's this pre-programmed set of beliefs, built entirely from our past, that every single one of us is carrying around.
The best way to think about this matrix is like your own personal operating system. Seriously, it's this super complex web of beliefs, automatic reactions, and go-to feelings that you developed from all your early experiences. It's running in the background 24/7, and it basically defines how you see the world and what you think is even possible for yourself.
And this isn't just some clever metaphor, it's literally baked into our brains. I'm sure you've heard that saying, neurons that fire together, wire together. Well, this is it in action. When you have an experience, especially when you're a kid, certain brain cells fire off in a pattern. The more that pattern repeats, the stronger that connection gets, until, boom, it becomes an automatic, totally unconscious habit of thinking or acting.
Let me give you a perfect example of how this plays out. Let's talk about Mary. When she was a kid, she learned that being quiet and staying out of the way was the key to staying safe. Fast forward to today, she's a manager, but that old programming is still running. She doesn't speak up in meetings, which means she gets overlooked, which then just reinforces that old, mistaken belief she formed as a kid: I'm unimportant. See how that works? It's a total self-fulfilling prophecy.
But here is the good news. We are not just our programming. Pushing back against this limiting matrix is this incredibly powerful fundamental force that's inside all of us, and that's the yearning to emerge. It's that unstoppable human drive to grow. This desire to grow isn't something we have to force. It's just part of our nature. It's like a plant naturally grows towards the sunlight, right? We have that same kind of innate pull towards becoming more of who we are. So what does this drive actually feel like day to day? Well, it's that curiosity that makes you want to pick up a guitar or learn a new language. It's that little nudge to try a different route home from work, just to see what's there. It's that voice inside that whispers, is this it? Who else could I become? That's the engine of all human progress and creativity, right there.
So we've got this huge conflict set up, right? It's our limiting matrix on one side and our yearning to grow on the other. So how do we make sure we choose growth? Let's get into the solution, the actual practical path of emergence.
And here is maybe the most crucial point of this whole thing. Emergence is not one giant, dramatic leap off of a cliff. Nope, it's an incremental process. It's about a whole series of small, deliberate moves where you start to question those old beliefs, try out new ways of acting, and slowly, piece by piece, replace that old programming with conscious, critical thought. I love this way of picturing the journey. You're starting from what? That's your fixed matrix, totally built on your past. And you're moving to what? That completely unknown, unfolding potential of who you're becoming. It's a total shift from being defined by yesterday to actively creating your tomorrow. So let's get practical. Here are the tools. The first one is called the assignment way of living. This is all about taking small, consistent actions that build new pathways in your brain. You can start super simple, like just noticing and naming your feelings. Or you could practice actually saying out loud what you want. And here's a huge one. Practice saying no to stuff you don't want to do. Each time you do that, you're building a little more personal integrity.
This second method is all about the inner work. It's about challenging those mistaken beliefs head-on. This means you got to catch yourself when you fall into those old, unhelpful thought patterns. Are you blaming somebody else instead of taking responsibility? Are you making excuses? Just becoming aware of these little mental traps is the first massive step to taking them apart and choosing a better response.
So all of this leads us to one place, the beginning of your own journey. And this isn't about trying to become some perfect person overnight. It's about embracing this lifelong adventure of growth. And it can start, right now.
And please remember this, the goal isn't to arrive somewhere. Emergence is a process. It's a journey, not a final destination. The real transformation happens in the commitment to just taking those small, consistent steps. You make one tiny move, and then another one, and before you know it, you'll look back and be amazed at how far you've come.
So I'm going to leave you with a question. Forget about some grand 5-year plan for a second. Just for today, what is one small step, something that feels just a little bit uncomfortable, that you could take to challenge your matrix and step towards the person you can become?
I think Goethe just said it perfectly. The magic isn't in having the perfect plan, it's in the beginning. That simple decision to take the first step, that's where all the power is. So like he said, whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Thanks so much for joining me